Hello and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host, Maverick, Dren, Zaria. This week, we're taking a look at the 1988 Soviet animated film Treasure Island, also known as Ostrov Sakrovich.
Also known as Return to Treasure Island.
Yep, that...
Treasure Island 2, Captain Flint's Treasure, which would make this a sequel to what?
Treasure Island 1, obviously.
I guess this was technically 2 parts, so... Also, you're gonna have to pronounce the names of the cast and crew for this one, 'cause...
Yeah, no, it's a little...
So yeah, this is what, our second foreign film on this podcast?
Yeah, not only is it our second foreign anime, it's our second foreign animated film.
True, yes, because the other one was the Mario anime.
Yeah. And so far, all animated movies that we've done have been foreign as well.
I love also how we've just picked the most random animated movies to do on this podcast.
So, I'll admit, this one isn't completely out of the blue.
You've seen this before. You have more of a background with it.
Yeah. So, I've seen this before. I used to watch it as a kid, but then recently, there were memes of some of the characters that have been made, like Dr. Livesey and John Silver. And so...
The only thing I had written for the trivia was that Dr. Livesey's walk became an internet meme. That's it. That's all I had for trivia.
And so I saw the walk and immediately I was like, okay, we need to watch this again because I remember it being a fantastic, off-the-walls, insane movie.
And
which it is.
I'd never seen it before, never heard of it until you brought it up, and I was like, what in the hell is this? And it's interesting. This movie is made up of animated and live action segments.
Yep.
Although the American version removed the live action segments.
Which is a bit of a shame, but it's also very understandable at certain points.
Yeah. I'm glad I watched the Russian version, though, because the live-action segments are a sight to see.
I actually have a theory about the live-action segments, which I'll get back to later after the recap of the movie.
I think it's pretty obvious why they're in there.
Yes.
And I was looking at the cast. Apparently the guy who did the voice of Long John Silver, according to Wikipedia, is the most prolific Russian actor that ever lived.
Oh, really? So that's gonna be Armen. Oh, that's a hard name. Jigarkanyan. Jigarkanyan.
Like I said, I'm glad you're here to pronounce the names. But yeah, apparently he was in more Russian films than anyone else.
Wow.
Including the Russian dubs of Cars and Up. And the guy who did the voice of Ben Gunn was in Ivan Vasilievich, Back to the Future.
Oh, I love that movie so much.
He plays Ivan the Terrible in that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, wow.
And this movie was also released in 2 parts. One is 47 minutes, and the other is 59 minutes, so it comes to a total of 106 minutes if you watch the Russian.
It's pretty long, like for an animated cartoon film.
And the US version is 72 minutes, and again, that's like cutting out the live action segments. So wait, how much of this is in live action?
So that'd be about 34 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of live action footage.
And this is also the first G-rated movie we've done on the podcast.
Oh, that's a good point.
Okay, so getting to our initial thoughts on this. Okay. I don't know if you want to go first on this.
Yeah, I'll go first. So this is a movie that
very
Uh,
curious to hear
but
your backstory with this movie.
yeah, I was like really young, like single digits young. My dad went back to Russia to visit his family, and he came back with a DVD of this film.
Hmm.
It had no English subtitles. There was an English quote unquote dub on the disc, but it wasn't like the English dub version that you can find on Tubi. It was basically a narrator just speaking over everybody in English.
Oh, okay. One of those types of dubs.
Yeah. Uh but I never ended up watching it in that version because I always found it annoying. So uh the first like handful of times I watched it, I had no subtitles, and so I just kind of had to guess what was going on the whole time.
Wait, so would this have
Uh
been your first exposure to Treasure Island?
it was, yes.
That's an interesting way to. I guess
And
mine
so
would have
then
been the Muppets version.
oh yeah, yeah. A couple years later, someone uploaded the full thing onto YouTube with English subtitles, and so I had watched it, uh, in a way that I could understand it. And I'm shocked watching it again recently, just how much fun this cartoon is to watch. It's so just insane, off the wall, and baffling at like every time point.
So I don't know if I've seen any Russian animated movies actually. If I'm being totally honest. Like my knowledge of Russian cinema comes mostly from like Sergei Eisenstein or
Hmm.
Tarkovsky or some of the weird Russian ripoffs. Like I think there's like a Russian version of The Hobbit that I saw one time. Or
Yeah, yeah. The Russian Hobbit and Lord of the Rings series are something special.
there's like a series of Russian Sherlock Holmes movies that I've seen,
Huh.
and those are actually pretty good. That's actually one of the best depictions of Sherlock Holmes I've ever seen. So going into this, I had no idea what I was in for and what to expect or what this was. And then after watching it, I still don't know what this was. I mean, this is something, that's for sure. It's definitely a fascinating watch for a lot of reasons, and it was very enjoyable, I will say that.
Yes.
There were a lot of bizarre touches to it that made it very engaging. I'm really just not sure what to say, because honestly, I was a bit speechless after watching.
It is a lot to take in.
Yeah, I guess we'll just get into the recapping. Okay, so the opening credits.
So it starts off with like a brief animated segment, just introducing some names of people involved with the film.
Yeah, it's some trippy visuals going on too.
Yeah.
I was also noticing the music has a lot of 80s synth in it.
It does. I really like the music in this. It's really offbeat and weird, but it fits the movie perfectly.
It does, yeah. And then it starts with some black and white live action footage.
Where we get our first musical number.
Yeah, Patchy the Pirate shows up.
And what he does is essentially introduce what the film is about to be.
Yeah, he's like dropping a bunch of exposition while hiding behind trees and fences. And like all the pirates in this have like fake eyebrows that
huge mustaches.
It looks like they're trying to imitate Groucho Marx or something. And I had a hard time following what was going on because he's talking so fast. I was like already at a loss.
But I think my favorite part of this...
There was one line I want to point out, though, where they say, "Come and take a look, it's a pirate book."
Yeah, because they have this whole section where it's like, if you don't know what Treasure Island is, they tell you the name of the book, that it was written by Robert Louis Stevenson, and the kind of things that are in the book.
But when I heard that, like, take a look, it's a pirate book, I thought of reading Rainbow, obviously. So, but yeah, I really did not. I already didn't know what was going on, and it was the first. So it just throws you in there, and then just a guy eats cartoon explosions, then a guy's shooting at him, and he catches one of the shots in the paper and throws it back at the guy. Like, how do you even explain some of this stuff? I mean,
it is just absolutely. So he like
kills a bunch
first
of
of all,
guys, and then an animated pirate shows up and kills him,
and takes the map to the treasure.
and that's when we switch to animation, and the movie itself starts.
We then get introduced to our first pirate of the movie, I guess, Billy Bones.
I remember that because I've read Treasure Island.
Yes.
And he shows up at the Admiral Benbow Inn with a cat on his shoulder that has an eye patch and is smoking a pipe. It's nice to know that cats can be pirates in this universe, too.
And as he arrives, he basically introduces himself to Jim Hawkins, who is apparently running the entire inn by himself.
Yeah, in the book, he's running it with his mother. And he gets a room. And another thing I was noticing, he was sneezing a lot, which destroys part of the ceiling.
Yeah, like beams fall down. At one point he sneezes and it blows a hole in the wall. And later you can see Jim going through a door and then walking past the hole in the wall too. He's basically just wrecking this place every time he sneezes. And while he's getting settled in, you also see that there are some pirates outside the Admiral Benbow that are stalking him.
They're just watching him. Yeah, I guess they have a thing for his destructive sneezes. And there's a guy with black sunglasses playing drums.
And another giant man who has like a music box strapped to his chest.
And there's a dog that laughs like one of the demons from Evil Dead.
And so they show up playing music, singing a song about this boy named Bobby who loved money.
Yeah, they start singing about money.
This annoys Billy Bones, so he lobs an orange into the big guy's mouth.
Yeah.
Then, after this happens, the blinds close, the window closes on top of Billy Bones' head, knocking him out, and then we get the
That was
first of...
Black Dog, right?
Yes, he launches the orange into Black Dog's mouth.
Who looks like Snidely Whiplash.
And then we get the first of a...
So far, it's actually following the book.
Yeah.
And they want charts for some reason. Yes, Ross Perot helped write this. So.
And then we get the first in a recurring gag, where characters are introduced through little dossiers.
Yeah. There's like a chase with music playing that almost sounds like video game music.
Real quick, in the dossier that it pulls up for Billy Bones, it describes him as, it says that he drinks a lot and he always has a heavy cold with a nasty temper. And it also points out that he's not married.
I noticed that in like all of the dossiers, it says that the character is not married, and I'm like, that's very weird that you point that out. It's like just
with every single character.
It'd be funny if they like did one for like the cat with the pipe, and then it says married or something. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
it'd be so fucking pointless.
Black Dog comes in and confronts Billy Bones, where they have looking for the map, and they have this fight scene that ends with Black Dog essentially destroying an entire wall of the Admiral Benbow and running off into the distance.
Yeah. Well, those pirates. Billy Bones, he passes out, and then Dr. Livesey shows up.
The greatest he's honestly my second favorite character in this movie.
He's probably my favorite character in this movie. He's just so the narrator like says that he's extroverted, and they aren't kidding with that.
He's very happy.
Every facial expression he makes is just so eccentric and exaggerated. Like,
he's laughing the whole time, and when he's like doing the checkup on Billy Bones, he's like, "Ah, arrhythmia, yes, yes."
I also like
Billy.
He says, "Let's rescue this total waste of human life."
That's right. Oh, that's such a good line.
And then he also he's a little too honest of a doctor, because he starts like saying all of his organs are enlarged and just describing it in detail.
And he ends it with, "To you, the words rum and death should mean the same thing."
Yeah, I was about to say that. But yeah, watching this, I was like, okay, I can definitely see why this character became a meme, because I'm like...
Yeah. And this is one thing. I watched a little bit of the English dub. They tone him down so much, and it's such a disappointment seeing it.
Yeah. He's like the best character in this. I mean...
Yeah.
And Billy Bones, he's worried about the black spots,
which Blind Pew comes to deliver to him.
In the book, too. A lot of this is actually in the book. Like,
yeah, a lot of the plot
exaggerated.
Points...
They exaggerate stuff,
yeah,
but it's in the book. I mean...
Yeah, a lot of the plot points are there. It's just they kind of up the violence to be cartoony and simplify the characters. But other than that, it follows the book pretty closely.
Yeah. Because Blind Pew shows up. And again, the narrator loves pointing out that none of these characters are married.
They're married. He says that he has an atrocious temper and that he's cunning and greedy.
Yeah. They really don't like greedy people in this movie, do they?
No. We'll get to this later, but they have a whole song about that.
Yes, they do. And he gives Billy the black spot. It's basically this little piece of paper with a big black dot on it. Billy Bones, he tells Jim that he has the treasure chart to Captain Flint's treasure. Which, why do they keep calling them charts?
I think it's like an exact translation, because the word for it is carta, which can be translated as chart. So... but there's a gag that I kind of enjoyed that I missed the first couple times I watched this.
Okay.
So on the black spot, it says they'll be there at 10 o'clock to kill him and take the map. He reads that and then sneezes, which causes the hands on the clock to fall down. So he thinks it's 6 o'clock, and he says we have 4 hours until they arrive.
Oh.
Billy Bones sneezes and dies. We then get a title card saying Billy Bones died from excessive rum. And then we get our second song, which is an anti-alcohol PSA.
Okay, so we got live action footage of a band going on stage, and there's this light blue tint, and it's a music video where that pirate from the beginning shows up, and they sing a song about how whiskey is bad. So I was watching this and I was just like, wait a second, is this an anti-alcohol PSA?
It basically is.
And they're like singing about exercising, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm watching a pirate version of Lazy Town, and he's Sporticus or something.
It's so bizarre. They mentioned they're like, pirates want you to be drunk because that way they can fight you easier.
Okay. Even though pirates are stereotyped as being drinkers.
Yeah.
There's even the Captain Morgan drink, which has a pirate as the logo.
It's such a bizarre scene.
And remember, I went into this blind. I had no idea the movie was gonna be like this.
You didn't know you were gonna get the anti-alcohol PSA song.
No.
That goes on for like 2.5 to 3 minutes.
It was amazing, though. I was loving it. It was just so out of left field. And it does kind of remind me I mentioned those Russian Sherlock Holmes movies earlier.
Yeah.
One thing that when they adapted them, they changed it so that like it removes Holmes's drug habits.
Huh.
Because apparently the Russian government banned the mention of drugs in movies.
That's interesting.
So I guess they also don't like alcohol.
Because that was a big push in the Soviet Union, was to lead like a clean lifestyle. So like exercise, don't smoke, don't drink alcohol. When I'm back home, I can send you this. I have a couple of Soviet propaganda posters.
Oh my lord.
And so some of them are like, don't drink, don't smoke. So it's very much in line with the Soviet government's mentality.
The Russian version of the just say no thing
Exactly.
that was going on. Yeah,
so
what the fuck? Okay, and then we could just cut back to the animation. I'd like to point out that live action segment, it was out of nowhere. Like it just,
and then it disappears just as quickly.
Like you can kind of see why it was cut from the American release because it doesn't really add anything to the plot.
It's just there to tell you that drinking is bad.
That's such a weird thing to put in a Treasure Island adaptation, too. Like, just... You'd think, like, oh, it'd be more like piracy is bad, but okay.
No, alcohol. So it just cuts back to the cartoon, and we see Jim escape with the map.
Yeah, he's just...
To Captain Flint's treasure.
He's just wandering around the dark. Blind Pew and some of the other pirates, they find the dead corpse of Billy Bones. Fitting that his last name is Bones now.
Yeah. And then we get a shockingly dark kind of death scene for Blind Pew, where he trips and falls into a barrel that rolls off of a cliff, and he drowns.
That's interesting, because his death is way different from how he dies in the book. In the book, he gets trampled by a horse.
Oh.
Which is even darker.
Yeah, you can't have that in your kid's cartoon. So, as Jim is escaping, we get his bio, which states that he's a very, very good boy who always listens to his mother and exercises.
Yeah, the narrator points out that Jim Hawkins is very well exercised, which...
does come up later, to be
yes,
fair.
It does. I also found it interesting, okay, so the cat...
Oh yeah, the
Bones' cat, he like drinks rum and dies instantly. I guess if the pipe wasn't gonna do it, the rum would.
Yeah. And then we get something a little strange. So Jim shows up to Dr. Livesey and some squire, a Squire Trelawney, and the art style changes for this scene. It's kind of like, it's not very different. You can tell it's the same, but like no one's mouths really move at all. They all kind of, it almost looks like paper cutouts that they're manipulating.
Huh. And also I was noticing Jim, he's like telling them what happened. And he sounds a little bit too happy recounting these events.
Yeah, he doesn't sound troubled by it at all. And then he basically goes, let's go.
He did find a
look
treasure
for the
map,
treasure.
But also I'm like thinking, some people just tried to kill you.
Yeah.
You should sound a little bit more concerned.
He's taking it very much in stride. We then get the bio of Squire Trelawney, where it says he is stupid and greedy with no personality.
Yeah, the narrator doesn't have anything kind to say about Trelawney.
Yeah, no, the narrator does not like Squire Trelawney.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. And so they go to Bristol. And a
in an
lot of
attempt to
people are
find a
getting
crew.
shot out of this bar.
So they go in there, and it's a lot of piratey things happen. And this massive, massive pirate decides he's going to challenge Jim to a fight.
Lots of rum drinking. Also, we get the famous...
Oh yeah, the live sea walk happens in
They
this
do
scene,
a
that's
weird...
right.
It's a very weird walk into the bar that they do.
And so this big old pirate tries to pick a fight with Jim.
Yeah. Oh no,
And
I know what's
we
coming up next.
And we get a cut to a title card that says, like, worry not, Jim will be fine because he does his exercises.
Yeah, the title card says the pirate can't hurt him because he does his morning exercises.
And we get a cut to song number 3.
And the
which
live
is
action segment is in color too, I'd like to point out.
Yeah, which is weird because not a whole lot of these are in full color.
Not really, no. There's like one other one, I think.
And it's basically the pirates are in the gym exercising.
They're using
and talking about how important it is.
They're like using exercise equipment and like, oh my gosh, it's singing.
And then it cuts to random, like, a random workout video just in the middle for no reason.
It'd be funny if this turned into that OK Go music video where they're on the treadmills.
Yeah.
Except with pirates. Pirates are fun.
So, and so once the live action segment stops, we get this fantastic scene where Jim just kicks the shit out of the pirate, reduces him to a pile of goo, picks him up, and hits him so hard that he flies backwards and breaks the wall.
The wall falls over. Yeah, it's... I guess, yeah. I mean, if you do your morning exercises, then you can beat up pirates.
And what's funny is there's like pirates who watch this and they all push their rum away after watching it. And after this sequence, we're introduced to the main villain of the movie, John Silver.
Well, kind of the main villain.
Yeah.
Oh, and also,
so,
I forgot about this. One of his nicknames is Barbecue.
Yep, because he's a cook.
And that's in the book, too. In the book,
yeah.
His nickname is Barbecue.
In the bio, it describes him as a nasty pirate, but he pretends to be nice successfully. Secretive, not married.
He's kind of the Han Solo of Treasure Island.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's a little bit more swearing in this than I thought there would be.
Yeah?
This is like a G-rated movie. They say damned several times.
Yeah.
Well, fuck that.
And so Silver is brought on as the cook for the Hispaniola, but he also brings on an entire crew with him.
Yeah, including Captain Smollett. There's one line from him I thought was funny where he's like saying that he doesn't like this expedition, the sailors, or anything at all.
And Dr. Livesey goes like, is that all? And then Smollett makes a very valid complaint about how everyone on the ship knows they're going for treasure, and he doesn't like that either.
Yeah.
And Captain Smollett's bio...
They're trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah, which Trelawney does not do. And so Captain Smollett's bio...
I lost my place in the notes. Give me a second.
I'll read his bio real quick. So, in Captain Smollett's bio, it says that he's an old sailor and a soldier, brutally honest for which he suffers, terrible temper, not married.
Yeah, again, they like pointing out that the characters aren't married in this.
And so, Captain Smollett's another great character. Just really funny in any scene that he's in, really. He's also got a lisp going on the whole time.
There's also lots of downtime on the ship.
Yeah.
Just not much to do while you're waiting to get to the island. Until Jim sneaks around and overhears the pirates talking about their planning to kill Dr. Livesey and Trelawney.
And as they're doing this, the art style changes again. It's all like incredibly like shaded from like a single light source in the center.
Okay.
And this is I like this scene, especially with Silver, because even though it's like a wacky kids cartoon, Silver still feels like very intimidating throughout the whole thing.
He's an imposing dude, especially for a guy with only one leg.
Yeah. I think his voice definitely helps too.
Yeah, and he's like one of the most famous pirate characters from
Yeah. He's even got a restaurant named after him.
yeah. And actually
And
one interesting thing, the movie that popularized the pirate talk, with like all the R's and stuff, like the weird accent, was actually the Disney version of Treasure Island.
Really?
Because the lead actor, Robert Newton, just had this like West Country accent that, but thanks to that movie, most people think like that's how pirates actually talked. When really that's not
accurate. Yeah.
No, it's not accurate. And then we get another live action segment of pirates singing
about gambling or chance.
Yeah, they're singing about chance, but not the one from being there.
And as soon
all the
as
live action segments so far, this one feels the most out of place.
It's incredibly out of place. There's like no thematic tie-in to it, really.
No. Gambling? Like, what?
And basically,
parts of it are in color, parts of it are in black and white. It's just...
Yep. And this is the end of what's technically part 1.
Yeah, that's the... Yeah, because the credits are rolling as the song is still going.
Yeah.
What? I had to say, like, after watching part 1, I was like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, and then you realize you had another 59 minutes of the movie to go.
I did take a little bit of a break before.
Yeah. So at the beginning of part 2, we get another song. It's basically the same as the first song in the movie, where it's just kind of
It is the same song, yeah.
Yeah. It has a slightly different intro, just to introduce, like, the plot to this part, but other than that, it's the exact same song.
And also, I was noticing the titles say The Treasure Island.
Yeah, I think that's just a subtitles thing. The word "the" doesn't really exist in Russian language.
Huh. How do you get from one word to another one, then? Anyway.
So, there's a brief recap of the pirates planning mutiny, which goes back to the original art style, but uses the same audio from the end of part 1.
I didn't notice that. Huh. Because, yeah, it's Long John Silver talking about his plan and stuff.
Yep.
They did choose a good cliffhanger ending there, but the song still feels out of place. Like, what? And then they see the island, and it has a very interesting shape. Like, it's a tall island.
It's basically just a mountain in the middle of the ocean.
It is, yeah.
So Jim goes and warns Captain Smollett, Livesey, and Trelawney about the pirates planning mutiny. And Smollett decides...
Trelawney and Dr. Livesey call themselves asses, I noticed.
Yep. Then Smollett decides that he'll fight for 30 men, so he has 6 muskets, a cannon, and a sword that he's carrying on him now.
I also like the names of these places, like Skeleton Island.
Yeah.
And Spyglass Mountain. And Jim sneaks away in a boat while the pirates go to the island.
And while he's there, he ends up meeting Ben Gunn, who is a former friend of Flint's who was marooned on the island for not finding the treasure.
I guess he's Robin Williams' character from Jumanji. What year is it?
Something that's interesting in his bio, though, it says that he used to be a well-behaved boy.
Huh.
Then started hanging with and gambling with pirates. Soft-tempered, not married.
Not married. I mean, who's gonna marry Ben Gunn?
And then we get just a baffling sequence.
It's like a flashback.
Where it's Ben Gunn's...
Okay, they were showing this flashback. I'm like, what is even going on?
Because not only is it a live action scene, there's no song for this one, and it's presented like a silent film.
With title cards, too, like intertitles.
Yeah. It's so weird.
But basically, it's Flint burying the treasure, and then he kills all of his men so they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And then it shows Ben Gunn getting left on the island. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he, like, told people he knew where the treasure was, but they couldn't find it, so they're like, okay, you stay here and we'll leave you there. The only reason I know this is because I've read Treasure Island. Because watching this, I didn't know what was going on.
It's a little hard to decipher.
Anyway, back to the animation. Jim promises Ben a huge slab of cheese when he gets back on the ship.
Yes.
Which is in the book, too. That's in the book.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because Ben wants some cheese, and then Jim is like, okay, I'll give you some cheese when we're back on the ship. Well, yeah. Dr. Livesey does his weird walk again.
And he looks out onto the island and he finds Silver and the other pirates, and he also finds Jim and Ben Gunn.
Yeah, he says, gentlemen, I have an excellent plan, which made me think of Doctor Strangelove. What's he gonna say next? He's gonna say, mein Führer, I can walk.
And so Dr. Livesey's plan is to go to the island and seek shelter in the fort to protect themselves.
We get more video game music.
Yep.
And pirates are shooting cannons at them from the ship.
It's such a nuts scene because it starts off as a normal cannon. Then he, like, loads a rack in there and then fires it like a machine gun.
It's a really intense action scene, actually. I was kind of surprised.
He also picks up the cannon at one point, fires it wildly in the air. It ends up overheating and he gets reduced to ash afterwards.
He, like, turns red and falls apart. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just love it. They're firing these fucking cannons like they're machine guns. Oh, it's so nuts. It's so fucking nuts.
It's so crazy.
Just lots of cannonballs flying. Then Long John Silver, he holds up a white flag and tries making a truce.
Tries to, yeah.
He, like, wants them to give him the map.
Yep. And he ends up dropping a pretty good line when they refuse.
In 1 hour, those of you who are still alive will envy the dead?
Yes.
With there's like a cloud of smoke with his skull that rises up in the air when he's saying this. And the skull says the last two words. It says, the dead.
And so after he says that,
good, but
it's very good.
We also get a live action segment.
Yep, because Smollett's like, you're not going to win because you're greedy. And then we get a song about why it's bad to be greedy.
The pirates are singing about Billy Bones, I guess.
Yep, about why nobody liked him because he was greedy.
They're singing about how Billy, how the money drove him silly or something. It's just, I was like thinking, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh right, communism.
And this is immediately followed up with one of the most intense and insane action scenes ever conceived.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get prepared for battle, and okay, why does everybody walk so weird in this?
I know they have like I don't even know how to describe it. Like they're doing the Mario, like from the end of the Lou Albano episodes.
It's like they got these characters from the Ministry of Silly Walks or something.
And so Jim, okay, well, first Captain Smollett breaks through a window on the top floor where he gets stuck.
There's some weird stuff that happens during this, and there's certain things I definitely want to cover here.
So then Jim and Dr. Livesey break open windows to fire guns out of. Then Trelawney is stuck for like 5 minutes trying to break a window, which is actually a painting on the wall.
So it's a painting that looks like a window? What?
Yes.
Okay. And the way they're firing these guns is just so bizarre, because, like, Dr. Livesey, he's, like, shooting guns in a weird way. He's, like...
Yeah, he's, like, doing tricks with it, like, pointing it behind his head and firing. Jim is... He has, like, 8 muskets that he's playing like a piano.
It's like, yeah. I definitely wanted that to get covered here. So strange. The building's also falling over.
Yep, because Trelawney hits the wall and it falls over and crushes Smollett.
Yeah. They, like, set up a fake bar at the edge of a cliff so that the pirates run in and fall down.
Dr. Livesey starts fighting people with a sword. He's fighting 3 people with 1 sword, and he just stops in the middle to, like, smell a flower.
He's, like, doing it really casually. It's like, it reminded me of, there was a Marx Brothers movie, A Night in Casablanca, where Harpo's, like, in the middle of a sword fight, and he kind of does a similar thing. It's really funny.
And he puts no effort into it and just destroys all of these pirates.
Exactly, yeah.
One of my favorite parts is a pirate comes up and tries to lift up the wall that Captain Smollett is stuck in. So Captain Smollett points both of his guns at him and says, "Stick 'em up." The pirate does, but in doing so, he drops the wall back on top of the captain.
There was too much stuff going on here for me to write it all down. Jim does karate.
But it doesn't work this time.
And then he lights a rocket, which sends one guy down into the water.
Yep, and Dren's him.
You're the rocket man. I also noticed that during this, oh my gosh, that they reused a shot of the vultures from earlier.
Yeah, there's a couple spots throughout where they reuse shots.
That was the one I noticed. I was like, wait a second, I've seen this shot before.
Yeah, that's definitely the most obvious one.
Yeah, that was some insane action going on there. Again, how do you comment on it?
And then we get another song.
I like how the narrator says that while the characters rest, the band Grotesque will perform a song. And we get a black and white music video of the pirates playing the theme song, and this time it has lyrics.
Yep. And so I decided to look something up from this. So I think this might have
band.
That's what I was trying to look for. So it looks like that was a mistranslation. Oh. It's the theater company is called Grotesque. So they hired a bunch of theater people to play the pirates, and they could also do music.
Okay.
So it's a unique way to
But hey, you got some trivia. I couldn't find anything for trivia for this. And they're like singing about gold, wine, and women.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be a James Bond theme, actually. Or hell, just title like a James Bond movie, Gold, Wine, and Women. Because, I mean, that covers quite a bit. They're singing about not being greedy or overeating. And I love how it ends with a freeze frame of them jumping in the air.
Yeah.
you gotta do that in a pirate music video. What the fuck is this movie? And that's how many song numbers is that so far?
That is the 7th song so far.
And they've all been PSAs, basically.
Yes.
Let's see, we've got alcohol, that's been covered, greed.
Gambling, exercise.
Oh my lord.
So after our musical interlude concludes, Dr. Livesey goes to meet with Ben Gunn to find the treasure.
And Jim walks around at night and goes back to the ship.
To find that the pirates are infighting amongst themselves.
And we get a chase scene on the ship.
Which has some pretty intense deaths as well. There's one guy who's cut in half when a door opens up on him.
Yeah, I remember that. The door just,
there's another guy who
just yeah.
There's a guy that just gets erased at one point.
Cartoon logic going on here.
Yeah. And
but
so
again, this technically does happen in the book, where he like goes back to the ship, and like it's a lot more intense in the book though, because like if this one pirate tries killing him and then he shoots him. But yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's a parrot smoking a pipe.
Yeah, he's basically supposed to be John. He's supposed to be John Silver's parrot, Flint.
There's that's what, 2 animals.
Yep, smoking pipes.
Smoking pipes in this, yeah, because there was a cat earlier. Jim encounters Long John Silver, and then they take Jim hostage.
Yep.
To go find the treasure themselves. They go to the island. They find a skeleton, which is pointing the way to the treasure.
Yep.
But they find a big hole, so the treasure's already been dug.
Yep.
And Dr. Livesey, he shows up, he examines the pirates.
And he finds out that they're all suffering from chronic smoking.
Yeah, he tells them smoking is bad for them, which it's about time. I mean, this whole movie, it's just been them smoking. So even to the point where even a parrot and a cat are smoking in this movie.
And then we get our 8th song of the movie, the anti-smoking PSA.
Yeah.
Columbus
gets mentioned for some reason.
Yeah, they're like, it's not Columbus's fault.
What?
It's such a bizarre
song. With this at all? Okay, because this is because they're British, and I don't fucking know. And in this one, the black and white footage has a yellow tint to it, which is weird. They say people now prefer the smell of smoke to the smell of roses. And they also show an image of a skeleton smoking a cigarette a few times.
Yep, just to really hammer the point in.
I've got to say, this is the best anti-tobacco PSA I have ever seen.
It's pretty good.
It's amazing. Like,
and once the song is over, the movie's almost pretty much over.
I'm half expecting like one segment to be like, "This is your brain on drugs" or something. Or Pee Wee Herman shows up and says, "This is crack."
So after the song, Silver basically surrenders.
You forgot something. The pirates all fall over dead from the smoke, I guess. Except for Long John Silver. He's still alive.
Yep. And so he surrenders to Captain Smollett.
And it turns out Ben Gunn dug up the treasure.
Yep. And so they load up all the treasure and sail back to Britain. And we get one final
live action segment. Okay.
we get it was an ending song basically.
They start singing about how they made it to the final scene. And how he's a gentleman of fortune in film and in real life.
Then we get something interesting. They show the actors for...
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
They show the voice actors for Trelawney, Livesey, and John Silver, all like in costume performing a part.
They're like during the credits, they're like showing the live actors next to their animated counterparts. That was really cool, actually.
And so this is actually, I mentioned earlier that there's something I wanted to kind of like talk at the end.
I think more animated movies should do that, honestly.
Yeah.
And they're even wearing pirate costumes.
Yeah.
Like the live action.
But so,
counterparts,
if you watch, they're animated to match the movements of the live action actors exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that what might have happened is they did that for a lot of more scenes. They just got like extras or whatever, just people dressed up in costumes to do this, and they were going to like animate over it or use it as like references. And they might not have had enough time to do everything, and so we got stuck with like that weird silent film live action segment, which at one point could have been meant to be animated.
Yeah, maybe they ran out of money or something.
Yeah, ran out of time.
But yeah, it's definitely very interesting end credits, and I noticed like they kind of skip out on the rest of the ending of Treasure Island here.
Yeah, no, it just stops. Silver surrenders, and then the movie's over.
Because in the book, Silver escapes. He like steals some of the money. And then they go, the rest of them go back to the mainland. Like Jim's like still running the tavern, I guess. I don't know what to call it.
Well, like the inn.
Until he like gets older and like sells it. Poor Ben Gunn though, he ends up gambling all his money away.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And then he just like joins like a church choir or something. And the Dr. Livesey, he just goes back to his medical practice, you know. Except he just ends up offering his services for free to like poor people. So,
oh, that's pretty nice.
I don't remember what happened to Trelawney, but like, it was just weird how this movie just stops. Like, it doesn't give you any of that.
At a certain point, it's just done.
Hell, Jim's like not really like fleshed out as much in this.
No.
The characters that stood out more to me in this were Dr. Livesey and Long John Silver.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so overall thoughts. Again, I'm not really sure what to say. For better and for worse, there's really nothing else like it. I mean,
it all feels very unique. I was about to say insane, over the top. The animation is grotesque.
It's very enjoyable to watch. If I'm being honest, though, my favorite parts of this were the random live-action PSAs.
Really?
That was the most enjoyable part for me, just because they come out of nowhere, and you're just... And also because it kind of gives you a glimpse of, like, maybe what Russian culture was like back then. Too, so it's just so unusual, but it is enjoyable. I mean,
I do think those live action scenes, they do add something. It gives the movie a little bit more character to it, and it really makes it so that it's like a one of a kind movie.
Because like if you remove those, then it's just an animated Treasure Island adaptation with kooky character designs and stuff.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, this is one of the better Treasure Island adaptations I've seen, so...
Yeah, it's pretty accurate to the book overall.
It follows the book, but it, like, adds a lot of weird stuff to it that it kind of becomes its own thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very charming, eccentric. It definitely surprised me. I mean, I kind of knew it was going to be weird going in, but I wasn't prepared fully.
You weren't prepared for how far it goes.
I definitely was not prepared for the pirate music video PSAs. Yeah, I will, and I will say of the one-off movies we've done on this podcast, which, to be fair, is only 3 so far.
Yeah.
This one's definitely my favorite.
I definitely agree with that, I think. This has got such a unique charm to it.
I don't know what else to say, really. Just...
I guess with that, I do have one piece of trivia about
you
this.
actually found some trivia for this? I am
There-
shocked.
This series, or this movie, received a video game adaptation
Oh,
in
of course,
2005.
You and the video game connections. So they made a video game adaptation of this movie?
Yep, in 2005. So
that's a long time
from what
to
I
wait.
understand, it is. From what I understand, it's kind of like an arcade style beat 'em up, where you play as Jim fighting pirates. It's all animated in the same style as the cartoon, and it even has a few returning cast members reprise their roles.
Some of the okay, that's interesting. They got some of the.
I know they got Trelawney. I don't remember who else they got back.
Trelawney, the one character that seems like the narrator doesn't have anything positive to say about him. That is interesting that there's a video game of this.
And it came out so late, too.
Yeah.
The country that this movie was made in didn't exist anymore.
Jim's a great character to play as in a fighting game because he does his morning exercises. So what console was this for?
It was just for the PC.
That's so weird that that exists. What? Is that all we have for trivia? Are you?
I think it is. I guess another thing we could say is that it won a lot of awards.
I wonder, are there any other Russian Treasure Island adaptations?
I know there is another live action one.
Oh.
I don't remember when it came out.
There's one with Orson Welles in it.
Yep.
I think he plays Long John Silver in that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
The Disney one, of course. The Muppet one.
Yeah.
I actually rewatched the Muppet one yesterday, and
how did it compare?
It was definitely not as good as this one. It's pretty mediocre, honestly.
Oh, I found the live-action Russian version.
It does have Tim Curry in it, so there's at least
that's a bonus.
There's some entertainment value. Oh, I forgot about Treasure Planet. Most people did, though, to be fair.
Yes, there was a live-action Russian Treasure Island that released in 1972.
Holy shit, there's an anime Treasure
Really?
Island. It's called Animal Treasure Island.
What?
Here, let me...
Okay, I just found something interesting. There was a TV movie in 1987 called Treasure Island in Outer Space.
It's an Italian German. Oh my god, we found a really interesting rabbit hole here. Oh my god, the cast. Anthony Quinn plays Long John Silver. Ernest Borgnine as Billy Bones.
What?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to do some of these.
I wouldn't mind.
That one's technically a TV miniseries. We can't do that one, but I'm still kind of curious about the...
Yeah.
There's a Bulgarian animated sci-fi adaptation.
What?
Called The Treasure Planet. Wait a second.
What? Are we just stealing it now? When did it come out?
Apparently there's a Mickey Mouse cameo in this. And this is before the Disney movie Treasure Planet, too, by the way. 1992. Yeah.
What?
That's
nuts.
There's a spaghetti western version called Between God, the Devil, and a Winchester. Who's in this? Stars Richard Harrison of Blood Debts fame.
Oh, good. This is a weird rabbit hole.
Well, I guess this is what our trivia is. It's just all these weird Treasure Island adaptations.
Ooh, this is interesting. So, there's a Lost Treasure Island film from 1918.
Oh yeah, silent films. There's a lot of.
Yeah. Apparently, it was 6 reels long.
There's a 1920 version,
Huh.
which stars the same guy that played the Frankenstein's monster in the Thomas Edison version of Frankenstein.
Huh.
He plays Long John Silver. It's also a lost film. There's the 1934 version with Jackie Cooper as Jim Hawkins.
That's what I'm looking at right now. Oh wait, no. I'm looking at the 1938 Columbia movie. Oh, it's a serial. The magazine story was written by L. Ron Hubbard.
Wait, what? Wait a second. What are you looking at here?
The 1938 movie serial adaptation.
I'm not finding this on the. Grant, I'm looking at like the Wikipedia page. L. Ron Hubbard wrote it?
It says the magazine story was written by L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, because he was writing, like, pulp.
Yeah, at the time.
I've actually read some of Hubbard's, like, sci-fi stories. He was such a bad writer. Back in high school, like, I think the first book I checked out from the high school library was Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard.
Really?
Yeah. But like the last 100 pages were ripped out, so I didn't.
You didn't get to see how it ended.
It's like a 1,000-page book too.
Wow.
No idea if it's any. It's probably terrible. The Secret of Treasure Island. Who's in this?
There's a lot of Treasure Island movies.
There's one of Charlton Heston.
Huh.
As Long John Silver. It's directed by his son, Fraser Heston. And this one has an interesting cast, because Christian Bale plays Jim Hawkins. Very young Christian Bale.
Oh. Huh.
Oliver Reed plays Billy Bones. Oh my god, that's so fitting. That's so... Because Oliver Reed was notorious for being a drunken mess. Christopher Lee plays Blind Pew.
Huh.
Julian Glover plays Dr. Livesey. Huh, that's interesting. Which he has the distinction of being in a Star Wars movie, a James Bond movie, and an Indiana Jones movie.
Wow. Busy.
I think he plays a villain in all 3 of those, too. Pirates of Treasure Island. Oh god, that's the Asylum version.
Oh no!
It stars Lance Henriksen. Well, now we know what our next podcast is. Oh wow, this actually follows the book. I'm looking at the plot and like the character names. I'm like, this is actually following the book. I'm surprised.
So you know how we've done just like a ton of superhero movies? Maybe this is our next genre. Treasure Island adaptations.
I thought you were going to say Asylum movies, but...
Oh, this is only 80 minutes. Wait a minute. Okay. So I'm looking at the Asylum version. It takes place in the U.S.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it has all the character names, though.
Yeah?
Probably just because it was an American production. We've found a really weird rabbit hole here.
Yeah, I know. I was not expecting to have this many weird Treasure Island adaptations.
It's in the public domain, so anybody could make one. We could make one.
Oh, I found another Treasure Island anime.
Yeah, I just saw that actually from like the 70s.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if this is on YouTube.
There's a BBC adaptation. which apparently Patrick Troughton was in that. The second Doctor.
Oh, I found it. I think I found it.
Again, I'm not so surprised.
Is it any?
I'm not so
No,
surprised.
oh no, that's a 1987 anime. There's
Wait
a lot
second.
of anime.
There's 3 Treasure Island animes. Oh my god, that's insane.
Unless they might have just gotten the date wrong. But
there's the Mercury Theater on the Air broadcast version of Treasure Island, which was narrated by Orson Welles.
I'm on YouTube, and I tried looking up the Treasure Island anime, and I got an edit that was playing a Gorillaz song in the background.
Which Gorillaz song? Clint Eastwood?
I can't remember it. Yeah, it was Clint Eastwood.
It's a good song that doesn't really fit the Treasure Island at all.
Yeah.
There's an audio recording narrated by Basil Rathbone.
Huh.
There's a oh my god, what? Big Finish Productions audiobook adaptation of Treasure Island, which was written and directed by Barnaby Edwards and starred Tom Baker as Long John Silver. The same people that do those Doctor Who audiobooks, and apparently they got one of the original actors that played the Doctor to do Long John Silver.
It's insane. So apparently,
my god, books and comics. What do we got here?
There's another anime version that came out in 2018.
Disney Treasure Island, starring Mickey Mouse. It's a comic from Dark Horse. There's a Marvel adaptation of it.
Huh.
Godspeed, a science fiction novel that recast the search for pirate treasure as the search for lost faster-than-light drive technology. Music. This is interesting. The self-titled Ben Gunn Society album, released in 2003, presents the story centered on the character of Ben Gunn.
That's what I was clamoring for.
Scottish glam rock artists, the sensational Alex Harvey Band, paid tribute to the book with their 1974 song, The Tomahawk Kid. The song names many of Treasure Island's characters in its lyrics, and was often dedicated to Robert Louis Stevenson in live performance. Monkey Island, a LucasArts adventure game, is partly
Monkey Island.
On Treasure Island.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Anyway, that was a weird rabbit hole we went down.
That was very bizarre.
I guess that will cover the trivia then for this one. Oh wait, sequels, prequels, and world building. What the fuck is this? No, it's books mostly. Huh.
Well,
Return to Treasure Island, written by... Oh wow, the cast for this one's interesting, because they got Brian Blessed as Long John Silver.
Huh.
Who you would know from Flash Gordon or Phantom Menace, where he played Boss Nass. They got him to play Long John Silver. Oh, Kenneth Colley's in this too, so Admiral Piet is in that.
Huh.
So that's 2 Star Wars actors. That's interesting.
Yeah. All right, so our next movie.
Yeah, our next movie, which is the animated... it's Hercules and Xena, the animated movie. I don't know what I've gotten us into with this one.
Oh, we'll see how it compares to Treasure Island.
Hopefully we aren't disappointed.
And with that, roll the Andy Griffith.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.